How's it going, guys? In this video, I'll be showing you 5 tips I've come up with for terraforming in Minecraft. Make sure to stick around to the end for the most important tip. If you enjoy this type of tips and tricks video, let me know in the comments on what type of building tips I should do next. So the first tip that I want to talk about is smoothing off edges in terrain, and this can help to make your builds look more natural and also more polished as well. So this is just a normal area that I just stumbled across for this tips and tricks video. This is all naturally generated. I haven't changed anything here except for remove one tree just for visibility, but there's a lot of areas here where it's annoying me how like jagged it is and how much I would change, like up here, over here as well, right on this corner. Really just smoothing out areas like this in a build will just make it feel more natural, even though it isn't, like, technically this is natural, but it doesn't look natural because it's very jagged and angular. So first, to the water area, what I would do is smooth off these corners with whatever block it is. So something like that already just makes it look more natural just in this corner so far. I might even bring that back and then come over here and maybe place just 2 blocks there. Makes it seem more rounded. Same with over here, just 1 block, maybe a couple of blocks over here as well. And there you go, that area right there already looks way more natural than it did before. Actually, I'll probably add 1 block, 1 or 2 blocks there as well, maybe even 1 more. See, yeah, this is a problem that you may come across as well, is repetition. So see how it's just constantly one block here and then it goes to 2. So this can make things look a little bit unnatural. So what I would do is just change up the entire shape, just come in, and even just that makes it look more natural. But you can have some areas that are more flatter than others. Even just like that can help fix that problem a lot. And then up here, what I'd do is simply just bring this in a couple more blocks, just like that. And that area right there is looking more natural. Over here, you can see it's a little bit steep here, so you could just add 1 block there. And also it still looks a little bit unnatural right here, so you can always just bring in the landscape like this and even bring some parts out where you think it might need to come out for it to look more natural. And also making some parts more like uneven compared to other parts can also help make it look more natural as well. See that right there, you can see this repeated L shape coming up across here. So breaking up that kind of repetition across each layer can help sell that the land is really natural when it's not. It's actually man-made or man-altered. So this is the final shape that I've come up with here. It actually took me quite a while to try and get this looking as natural as possible, but yeah, just playing around with it can make a lot of difference to the area. Just spending some time trying to get it look right can make a lot of difference to the background of your builds. So for the next tip, I want to talk about cliffs and ways to make them look more interesting. So as you can see right now, this cliff is very uninteresting and boring. It's just a flat face. The only thing it's got going for it is just this like cool transition with the dirt and the stone, and that's about it. So I want to talk about things you can do to make this more interesting, such as adding an overhang, adding stairs and slabs, and also areas that increase the amount of depth in the cliff, and also just some light texturing as well. So the first thing I want to do is add in the overhang. So usually with overhangs, I only want to bring it out by just 1 or 2 blocks, not too much to where it looks kind of strange. So firstly, we can just bring out the grass layer first, pretty much just like that. That's all you need to do. And then come underneath and add in some stone blocks just like this. Just kind of randomize it. And then the rest we're just going to fill in with some stairs and slabs to try and make it look more natural. And then on the side here, it's a little bit of a weird cutoff. So what we can do is actually bring this out and around like this as well, and then we'd have to just fill in this area just like that, and then just replace these dirt blocks with stone so there isn't little bits poking through. You can have that if you want to, but I just prefer to have it all stone pretty much. And there's a nice little overhang. Just that on its own can add a little bit of depth, but obviously this giant area here needs some work. So next what we can do is add in some parts that stick out and parts that go into the wall as well. So something I've already thought of when I first saw this cliff is to have a part that goes in here and then a little part that sticks out here, kind of like a big supporting pillar. So firstly, let's create this shape here. I'm thinking more of an oval shape that goes in right here. So we can just come in and create the outline for it. Remember not to keep it too symmetrical. We want it to be pretty uneven looking. I do want this pillar to be kind of central, so I might actually shift this over a little bit more. And there we go, that's the final shape that I came up with. So to make this look a little bit more normal is we can come in with some stairs and slabs and just kind of smooth out the edges using this. Even having some stairs, not like this, but on this angle as well. And then then alternating between that. And then because this area is so big, I might even come in as well one more like that, kind of mimic the bigger shape into a smaller shape down here, and then just put in some slabs and stairs just like that. And that's a nice little area. Although I think one of these needs to be a stair block like that. There we go. That looks a bit better now. So there's our little in-cove bit, and now I want a pillar that kind of sticks out here. So I might actually have to extend the overhang right here just to come out one more block, just so it doesn't look too weird having the pillar kind of on the same level sticking out from the overhang. So to extend this overhang, we can just lower this part down here and then bring this out like so. Maybe change one of these to stairs, just like that. And then we can start the pillar like maybe right here. Have this come down, maybe have it one wider, maybe even bring it up from the bottom and not have them connecting. Can also create an interesting kind of shape to a cliff like that. And then also just come in with some stairs and slabs like this. You don't need to do stairs and slabs on every cliff. You can leave it as blocks, but it does help to make it look more detailed and interesting using stairs and stuff, because it just gives you more options to smooth off areas and such. And then maybe even add like some kind of little indentation like that. And yeah, so there's our little detailing here. And then on this side, what I might do is actually raise up the grass a little bit to come up to about here, and see if that can give us an interesting little shape as well to this cliff. So as I'm raising this, I don't want to just raise it on this one layer because that's obviously going to look weird. So I'm going to have to bring out this entire thing out. Probably bring this grass layer out to about here and then just gradually build it up from here. And there we go. There's that completed little raised up kind of dirt hill right here. So for the final finishing touch, something I like to do but not always is to add just some light texture to the cliff. My favorite two blocks to use for texturing on cliffs is stone bricks and andesite, just because they're not too different from stone blocks and it's not that noticeable. Now I'll show you guys how to do it by hand right now, but in the last tip I'm going to show you how to do it really quickly if you're playing on creative, so make sure you check out that final tip. So just for light texturing, I like to just do like maybe for this area, maybe a total of 10 to 15 of each block, maybe even less or more. Just kind of play it out and see how many you want to do. But for texturing, you want to try and keep it as random as possible. Like there might be some parts that have 2 blocks next to each other, which is fine, but just try and cover every area with the texture. You don't want to have like one clump of texture and then one clump doesn't have the texture. So yeah, that looks pretty good for the stone brick. You can see I included up here, also on the pillar, inside this area over here, and all the way over here as well. And now you can just come in with some andesite, maybe put some right next to the stone brick as well, maybe have some close to the stone brick. And to me, this looks a little bit strange, so I think I need to change up just a little bit of placement. So I might condense it a little more right here, maybe add one just under that part there, and then we'll chuck in a little more andesite over in this area. And there we go, there's our completed lightly textured cliff. You can always add more or less texture if you want to. It's not that big of a deal. You can also add more or less texturing blocks too. But overall, we've turned this previously boring cliff into a nice interesting kind of feature. So if you had your base like situated right here and you were taking a screenshot of it, you'd have a nice little backdrop of it. But personally, if I was getting a picture, I'd probably get this nice flower forest in the background, to be honest. But yeah, so there's how to change your cliff into something a little more interesting. And just before we move on to the next topic, I just wanted to show off this one build that I made with my friend Ritz, who has since quit building, unfortunately. He was an amazing builder, but I created this with him, and it just showcases a bunch of the points that I made, like using stairs and slabs and all this crazy texturing, as well as the overhang here. And also you can even add in small details like this, like an actual waterfall that comes down and it goes over this little entrance into this cool little area. I mean, in here can be whatever you want. You can even leave this closed if you really wanted to, but yeah, that's just some more ideas for you guys. All right, so next is just a bit of a quicker tip, but it's to do with rivers. So this river here is from my river update idea that I made a couple of weeks ago, and this one was the Lush variant. It's also just something nice you can do to any river that you want, and it's just to make it more lush and overgrown by adding like lily pads and leaves and extra grass and flowers and bushes and trees, sugarcane and all that kind of stuff, all the seagrass and leaves as well inside the actual water, as well as little tiny rocks. But adding all of this together can create a really lush tropical feeling river. So say if you lived like right here, like next to the river or something, it would be a nice like addition to your base, just having this nice little area. You could also add like a little small dock or something as well. And yeah, that's just a cool idea for your river if you live near one or wanted to do up one just for the hell of it, because it is pretty fun to do. For the fourth tip, I just wanted to quickly touch on beaches. So you may notice this here is just the default Minecraft beach. It's kind of steep. It goes quickly to the bottom of the ocean. It's not very wide, as in like it quickly changes to grass along here, and it's very patchy as well. So a build that me and Extra created a little while ago now was this, which is actually, or was our beach upgrade post. And you can see the many things that I would also change to beaches, as showcased in my tropical update idea, is having them be a more gradual decline into the ocean like this, instead of it being so steep like over here for instance, and then also making them wider as we go back into the grass. You can see it's a lot wider, the whole beach over here, and it also transitions into the grass in a nice way, kind of merges together. And you can see as well, we added a bunch of little rocks. We used stone buttons as well for tiny rocks, and then slabs and stairs for slightly bigger rocks. And then when you come into the ocean as well, there's even bigger rocks out here. And here's the beach that I created in the tropical update idea. It's a little bit more simple, as in like there's no palm trees or anything like that, but you can see this version, it also has a very gradual incline to the ocean, and this one's more of a reef where it has lots more coral, stuff like that, and it can make your beaches look really nice having this. And also a nice little thing as well is having these trees kind of along the edges. It looks more like a realistic kind of beach, because most beaches have like this heavy tree line around the sides of it and stuff, or at least the beaches I've seen. And yeah, so that's just a few tips on beaches. Hopefully that helps you out with making your beaches more interesting. If you have a build near a beach or something, it can make your view a whole lot better. And for the final and most important tip, in my opinion, is to download and use Worldedit and also Voxel Sniper. Now these two are plugins for a server that you would have to set up, and obviously would only be useful in creative mode. So this isn't really a tip for survival or anything like that, but if you are interested in building builds in creative mode, then this is like a game changer. I've never created a build that hasn't used Worldedit, and pretty much all the builds that I have done some major like terrain changes has been using Voxel Sniper. So for instance, let's just say I wanted to have a big kind of mountain right here in this spot right here. And normally obviously you'd have to place blocks, and it can take hours and hours to do that. But with Worldedit and Voxel Sniper, you can do this in probably just a couple of minutes, and I'm going to show you right now how I would do that. So firstly, what I'm going to do is set my Voxel Sniper brushes, which are a piece of gunpowder and also an arrow. So I'm going to set my brush to a ball, and the command to do that is /B space B. And then I'm also going to add the smooth modifier at the end of this, just so the ball is nice and smooth. And then I'm going to change my brush size by doing /B and then the size I want, which is going to be 5. And then lastly, all you need to do is set the actual block you want to use. So you do that by doing /V and then the block. So I'm just going to do stone. And then all you have to do is just right click with your gunpowder, and then you can just place some giant balls of stone. So I'm going to try and make just a general shape of a mountain that I wanted right here out of these balls of stone. Don't worry about getting it too perfect, because we're going to smooth it off in just a few seconds. So there we go. There's just the general shape that I wanted for this mountain. So next, the command that we're going to do is /B space BB this time, which stands for blend ball instead of just ball. And what this is going to do is pretty much just smooth off everything. And to do that, I'm going to use the arrow instead of the gunpowder to smooth off all this stuff. And there we go. So that's shaping up kind of well. So the next step that we're going to do is actually do /B space E space melt. And what this does is it changes both your brushes. So for the gunpowder, it's going to bring blocks out towards you. And then for the arrow, it's actually going to push blocks in. And with this command, we can kind of get some more control on the areas that we want to raise and lower and smooth off as well. And there we go. So that's just the general shape that I wanted here. Just a simple mountain. So now we can switch back to the blend ball and make sure to use the arrow and just go around this whole thing and just smooth everything off just like that. And there we go. There we got like a nice kind of mountain shape. So now let's just say I wanted maybe a grass layer on top of all of this stone here. So all you'd have to do is with Worldedit, get your wooden axe, select one corner of the entire build, and then come up to the other corner over here and then set your next position by doing //pos2. And then the command that we would need to run is just // overlay and then the block that you want. And I'm going to do 2 because that is for grass block. And then you can see what that has done is put a nice grass layer across of everything. You see that it also affects in like a kind of a rectangular shape of where we selected. So it's going to put grass blocks on top of these trees and stuff, which you would have to remove by hand. Yeah, so there's like a nice little mountain. Obviously it looks a little bit out of place. You'd have to spend a lot more time in this trying to get it to look more natural using more commands. I'm not going to go too in depth with this because this is just a tips and tricks video. I'm not trying to teach you guys everything about all these plugins and stuff, but I might do a tutorial for that in the future. But with Voxel, Sniper, and Worldedit, you have a lot of powerful commands to you that will help you speed up a lot of building processes. And I'm just going to showcase a few of those that I used in some of my builds. So over here is quite an old build of mine, and I just wanted a really flat area to work with. So all I did was select this corner and then fly all the way over here and then select the other corner down there, and I just set this whole thing to grass blocks, and that just gave me a nice flat area to work with so I could create this build. Obviously it looks a bit weird from any other angle, but I only need like this kind of angle which it looks normal in. I also used Voxel, Sniper, and Worldedit for my sky update idea quite a bit. I used it to shape these whole floating islands, also to add in pieces of coal and iron everywhere automatically instead of having to place them in by hand. And you can see I used it to kind of sculpt these little bits that come out here as well, and add in this nice little river waterfall thing. You can see over here I came in with the melt tool, and I also added this like little waterfall bit that comes down right here. And then also over here for this island, you can see I did a command called replace, and with that you can actually replace like certain blocks with other blocks as well. So I just replaced all the stone blocks that were here with more stone, cobblestone, and also mossy cobblestone, just to create this nice textured stone look for this dungeon island that I made. And yeah, so those were just 5 tips and tricks for terraforming. If you enjoyed this kind of video, then just let me know in the comments on what type of tips and tricks you want me to cover next. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.